He's released new video that certainly contributed to bringing this person into custody. And in the president's interview, he said some things that were very telling that we're going to be hopefully following up on to gain some clarity, saying that someone close to this person of interest recognized them either from the images or the video that had been released, and then reached out to the father of that individual.
Shots rang out in a place no one expected. Panic, fear, and confusion followed. Who would dare pull a trigger in front of a live audience? On that day, the unthinkable happened. In the middle of a live event, with cameras rolling and hundreds of people watching, a chilling moment unfolded that left the nation stunned. The central question is this: what really happened that day? And how did 22-year-old Tyler Robinson end up as the man in custody? At the center of it all was Charlie Kirk, a well-known conservative commentator. What was meant to be another political gathering turned into a night that attendees would never forget. Audience members were shaken. Security protocols were tested. And across the country, millions asked, how could this happen here? This story matters because it forces us to look deeper at the safety of public spaces, the tension in political climates, and the alarming rise in targeted acts of disruption and violence at events that were once considered untouchable. And if this could happen in a room full of cameras, imagine what goes unseen. Subscribe now, because these cases vanish into silence when we stop paying attention. Tyler Robinson, just 22 years old. On paper, his life looked ordinary. A young man with a modest background, friends, and a digital footprint like so many others his age. But a closer look at his social media hinted at something more complex. A mix of posts that left investigators and the public asking questions about his state of mind and his motives. And then there's Charlie Kirk. To some, a voice they rally behind. To others, a figure they strongly oppose. Love him or criticize him, there's no denying his influence and his ability to fill a room. On that night, hundreds gathered to hear him speak, unaware of how the evening would take a turn no one expected. The timeline begins calmly. Security checks, chairs filling up, conversations buzzing with anticipation. The audience settles in, their attention fixed on the stage. Among them, unnoticed, Tyler Robinson slips into the room. Seconds before the chaos, everything seems normal. A man in the crowd, a speaker on stage, a quiet tension lingering in the air that only hindsight can reveal. And then panic erupts. People duck for cover. Phones light up with frantic calls. Security rushes in. Law enforcement swarms the scene in a blur of uniforms, shouts, and confusion. But even in those first chaotic moments, contradictions surfaced. Was Tyler Robinson acting alone? Or was there something, or someone, else driving him? Early reports raised more questions than answers. Piece by piece, the puzzle began to take shape. Eyewitness accounts described a figure moving with unusual precision, slipping through the crowd in a way that seemed anything but random. Then came the most decisive moment, the review of security footage. Frame by frame, it revealed Tyler Robinson's calculated path, not chaotic, not rushed, measured, intentional. Soon after, authorities confirmed Robinson had been located and taken into custody. The arrest happened quickly, without further incident. But instead of providing clarity, it only multiplied the questions. Why was he there? What was his true intent? And most importantly, what drove him to step into that room at that exact moment? Law enforcement held press conferences, highlighting their swift response and careful handling of the situation. Yet, when asked about motive, they avoided speculation. And that's where the story takes a darker turn. Because the arrest didn't close the chapter, it opened a deeper one. Imagine this: if something like this happened in your own community tomorrow, would you want the facts buried or brought to light? Subscribe now, because stories like this can't be allowed to disappear into silence. Once Tyler Robinson was in custody, investigators turned their focus to the bigger question: why? They retraced his steps. They dug into his background, examining past behaviors, reviewing his online activity, and considering whether outside influences may have played a role. From there, multiple theories began to surface. Was this an act driven by political anger? Was it the result of a personal crisis? Or could it have been a lone outburst of rage, rather than part of something coordinated? Meanwhile, the public conversation erupted. Online forums and social media feeds filled with speculation. Some expressed outrage, others voiced fear, while still others spun theories that stretched far beyond the known facts. And that is where the challenge lies, separating what's proven from what's rumor. At this stage, investigators released only limited details, careful not to confirm more than they could verify. But while the facts remained scarce, the emotional toll was undeniable. Survivors spoke of sleepless nights. Public events were shadowed by unease, and across communities the same question echoed: could this happen again? The investigation was just beginning, but its ripple effects were already reshaping public trust and collective security. In the days that followed, the community was left divided. Some were stunned that Tyler Robinson, just 22 years old, could be connected to something so alarming. Others insisted the warning signs had been there all along, if only someone had looked closer. But even with an arrest, the mysteries remain. Why this event at this time? Was Tyler acting entirely on his own? Or was there an unseen influence? And most haunting of all, what message, if any, was he trying to send? The answers may never come in full. What we do know is that lives were forever changed. Audience members left with memories they cannot erase. Families left questioning the very idea of safety in public spaces. And an entire community left to wonder how something like this could happen in plain sight. In the end, this wasn't just a strike at one individual. It was a blow to the fragile sense of security we all depend on. The story doesn't end here. Subscribe, share, keep this case alive. And if you choose not to, then tell us why in the comments. Because when we stay silent, it is only the darkness that grows stronger.